Peace and blessings, everyone. This is Reza Ghiwala, the divorced Muslimah coach. And today we are on to day 7 of our reflections this Ramadan. And in the last video, video 6, I ended with saying that I was going to go deeper today into who has the power, who really has the power. So who is in control of your future? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no power or strength but from Allah. We've all heard this. We know this. We've heard the meaning. We've read it several times. We've heard it. But let's ask ourselves today, do we understand it? Do we believe it? Are we mindful of it? You know, there is a difference between belief and believing something to be true, like versus like, you know, you have a belief, like everyone, like people may say I believe in God, you know, I have a belief in God, but do I really believe him? Do I really believe what he says, his words, his promises? That means that boils down to belief, boils down to, okay, what are your expectations? Who are your expectations? And your level of patience, level of active patience, perseverance, steadfastness, level of believing in divine wisdom, divine timing versus holding on to your own, right? So there we know that there is no change or power except by means of Allah. We know that there is no transformation or strength except through Allah. That there is neither progress nor might except through Allah. And Allah does not change the situation of a people. We know that too, right? And in the Quran, in chapter 13, verse 11, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, for each one are successive angels before him and behind him who protect him by the decree of Allah. Indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. So what does that translate into for me and you? How can we expect Allah to change our situation without first digging deep within ourselves, in our heart, and asking, what is it that we really do believe? Do we really believe that Allah has the power like he says he does, like he tells us in the Quran? Do we really hold that in our hearts? Do we carry that around with us in a way that Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, did when he was standing at the sea and he has a great superpower charging it towards him, and he has all of his people with him who are freaking out and saying, look, you've brought us to our death. This is the end of us. We're all gonna die here. And they're blaming him, they're coming down on him. And what does he do? Like, his level of conviction is like, nope, without a doubt, I know that my Lord is with me. I know that he has my back. And he knew that, like, with such conviction. And Allah showed up that way for him and saved him and protected them. You know, belief like that, when we have belief like that in our heart, then the action upon that belief needs to be there, needs to reflect it. And that's part of our belief system, right? Really, it goes back to, what are we doing here? We all know that we're here on earth and we're on this journey back to our original home, to go back to our original home. You know, there is a hadith that the Prophet, peace be upon him, used to make this dua saying, "Oh Allah, to you I have submitted, and in you do I believe, and in you I put my trust. To you I turn, and for you I argued. Oh Allah, I seek refuge with you through your power. There is none worthy of worship except you alone. That you safeguard me against going astray. You are the ever-living, the one who sustains and protects all that exists, in one who never dies, whereas human beings and jinn will always die." And that's a powerful hadith as well. And when we reflect and look at that dua of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and what he is saying in there, that utter reliance and trust that without you, nothing happens. And we all know that. We have all heard it, but where does it sit in our heart? Is the question and the reflection for today, really. We know where the power comes from, but do we really believe it? Do we own it? Do we show up that way, the way Prophet Musa did? And he was a man too. Yes, he was a prophet, but he was a man. We can strive to attain that as well. There's nothing says that we can't. And that's why we have their examples as inspiration. And sometimes we don't feel secure, because we can get stuck in that, okay, Allah has the power, everything's in his hands, but where do I fit in? How do I tie my camel and keep my trust in Allah, right? Going back to that. And sometimes we don't feel secure until we are tying our camel. But what if how to tie our camel is not apparent, or Allah doesn't put that in our path? Sometimes it can feel really insecure not doing something. And how can we still have the trust in Allah and doing the right thing rather than doing anything or something, and still feel secure that he's still going to come through for you? It's sometimes tying your camel means doing nothing, means waiting, means patiently waiting with beautiful patience, such as Prophet Yaqub did when he was patiently enduring the loss of his son, Prophet Yusuf. And when Aisha radiallahu anhu was patiently waiting with beautiful patience for her name to be cleared. Sometimes that is tying your camel, waiting for the right insight to come, waiting for clarity to come, right? Instead of running around in a frenzy, I have to do this, I have to do this, and I have to do that, and then I feel, okay, I'm doing my part. And it can still feel very stressful. And why is that? Because it's very exhausting. Okay, if I do this, then I will be doing my part. If I do this, then I will be doing my part. And I'll give you a good example. And I know I've mentioned this example many times, but when I had to make the decision of what the right thing was for my children, in terms of where my boys are going to live, I was still holding on to, I know what's best for them. I was holding on to, I was not letting go to letting Allah decide what is best for them. I was still holding on to, okay, well, who can I talk to? Who can I, speak with? Who can help me in proving my point? Or who can, like therapists, attorneys, and all the different people I could think of. And making phone calls, waiting to hear back from this person. It was a frenzy of stress and overwhelm. And where is this going to lead? And until I realized that there is a comfort in waiting for the right thing to appear, waiting for clarity to come with a quiet mind, with the insight to tell you what is your right next step or move in this process of trusting. So, rather than just doing anything, and to the outside world, it could look like, well, you're not doing anything. You're not doing something. You're not doing your part. You can't just sit around and wait for Allah to do something. You have to do your part too. And it could look like to people on the outside, well, you're not doing anything because you're not in a frenzy, freaking out or panicking or doing things. People expect you to do certain things, but waiting to know what the right thing to do is tying your camel as well. So what I invite you to ask yourself is, what do you really believe? Do you really believe that Allah has the power? And to what extent? Think about situations in your own life. Does it feel hard to let go and rely on the power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has? For me, I know that was a turning point. So I'm asking you to look within yourself and ask yourself, what is your deep down core belief? What do you really believe about the power that Allah has, and how does it affect you and translate into your life? What feels really hard about that, and what is most difficult? Do you think it's attainable for yourself? And in my next video, I am going to be talking about how when we have this understanding of our thoughts, and we have this understanding of waiting, of gaining clarity. How do we gain clarity? And how it can help us in not falling into traps of a depressive or anxious states, you know, the what ifs, the overwhelm, and dealing with the unknown. I can't wait to hear your insights, your breakthroughs, your reflections. Share in our group, and I will talk to you guys all soon. Take care, peace and blessings.